Hi everybody, welcome to Cherry Wayne. My name is Mary, and we're gonna start a new series. I'm gonna continue on doing. I don't feel doing a formal podcast isn't necessarily something that feels right for me to do, so I'm just gonna do maker diaries. So I'll just come on. It's gonna be very similar to a podcast. I just don't feel right calling it that. And also, I really just wanted to hone in on something, just for me personally. I will have to edit my videos somewhat sometimes and do certain things, but I just really wanted to, like, I'm getting my studio space here set up to be an oasis for myself, for self care, for creation, for work, all that sort of stuff. And so I'm just coming to you today how I normally am. I took a nice shower. I did all my self-care things. I have my comfy robe on. And that's kind of the environment that I like to work in. Um, sometimes I will do my hair or put a little mascara on or put a nicer outfit on. And I typically work at my desk or over here. But yeah, we'll just call it Maker Diaries because I am also, an artist of many different things. I make all sort of things. I enjoy all sorts of forms of art. So, we're just gonna go with what I've made in the last few days or last few weeks, depending on when I feel like I'm able to make a video. And I just welcome you to, sit down, relax, have your favorite drink with you, you know, also do some sort of self-care, or maybe just sit with me, spend some time with me while you are working on your art or your craft. Today I have mostly knitting and crochet, and I have one sewing project I'll be talking to you about. So I'll just start from the top of the pile here. This is a crochet tape or lace border, and I'm trying to get my whole house set up and just like style each room a certain way. And so I have our upstairs bathroom is a small just shower and toilet. There's no mirror, there's no outlet, there's no window. It's a very small confined space. So I've been trying to find small ways to just make it feel cozy and comfortable and a space I actually want to go into. So I have a shower curtain where if I can edit this video to add images like over here or something, I will. If I can't learn that yet, then I will just include a link somewhere where you could find it. But it's from Urban Outfitters. It's a checkerboard shower curtain. It's a cotton one, and it's like a pale dusty pink and like a natural unbleached color of fabric. And it looks nice and everything, but the walls in there are also an off-white color. And like I said, there's no window, there's no mirrors, there's no outlets. So it just feels very drab and small and not cozy. I have since added some small mirrors in there. It came in a trio set. They're really cute with like a faux bronze mandala around it. They're plastic, but they're meant to look like bronze. But anyways, so in my bedroom, I have one of these across the top of the window as a balance, and I really like it. So I had this cotton yarn. This is a mercerized cotton, and I just like this color. It's like a dark olive green color. look nice to basically make a valance for the shower curtain. And then I might add some like beaded stuff to it as well, just to kind of break up the color and just make it look more warm and inviting. I don't know if there's an exact name for this stitch. I'm in the middle of it, so you know it's not to its full potential right now, but it has like what looks like little daisies. And yeah, I figured since it's mercerized cotton, it has a really nice drape to it, a nice stretch and drape to it. I'm using a pretty large hook, and it'll be easily washable if I needed to because it is in the bathroom, so it will be subject to some moisture. So we have that. And then one of the sewing projects that I have coming up soon, I just bought this duvet set because this whole area is just meant to be a lounge within my studio. So I can either work from here or just come relax. I can do my meditation, whatever it is that I would need or want to do. And so I'm just trying to style it a certain way. So this duvet set came with shams. I think that would be a little bit too much going on to have like shams that also match with the pattern. It's a lot. So I have this big pillow that I made here. It stretches along the whole side of the wall here. But these, I thought, instead of using them as an actual sham, I can either fussy cut these or just cut it down smaller and make a little smaller pillows. Or if I cut them in half this way, I'd end up having 4, and I could put them along the side of the mattress here to just kind of like fill out the extra corners that don't have a cushion. And I could even potentially, if I fold them in half like this, I could stuff them as they were and sew them to the side of the mattress, like the top side. Again, just to, because this is essentially a lounge and more of a couch, like on the floor situation. So I feel like little side pillows would make sense, but on this side it'd be fine because there's a wall there so they wouldn't fall off, but over here they would, so I'll figure out where I'm going to put them, but I didn't want to throw this away. Now if I don't end up doing that, then I will repurpose this into tote bags because I really love the print. It's weird to say, and I've said this to a couple of people recently, I am not a beachy person. I do live in South Carolina. I do live really close to the water. A beachy aesthetic I don't really like seashells and my least favorite color is blue. Ironically, I'm just not really a fan. Just like kitschy, beachy stuff is not my personal taste, but I love nautical things, so like the ocean, the water, that sort of thing. It also ties similarly into some tattoo aesthetics. And if you're familiar with different somewhat original American style tattoo work, it sort of falls along the same line of nautical, as well as sirens and all that sort of stuff. That's always been super interesting to me. So anyways, I saw this recently. It is 100% cotton fiber, so it's not just like a cheap microfiber. So I will keep these and I will either turn them into pillows because I have 2, or I'll just recycle them into tote bags because I really, really just love the print. So that is one project that I am working on. The next one here, I just finished this earlier. I started it last night. This is a knit frog. I haven't named him yet, so if anyone has any name suggestions, and I will be making him a he. Maybe I'll make him a partner or a girlfriend, we're not sure. Maybe we'll make him a boyfriend, I'm not sure what his vibe is yet, but anyways, I have a lot of worsted weight acrylic yarn because that's what I have always used, and I'm trying to make the switch to using natural fibers, at least as much as possible. There's some cases where I'll get an order, and just because of people's lifestyle and not understanding natural fibers, I'll have to use acrylic sometimes so that they can easily wash their stuff and not have to think twice about it. I do have some people who specifically request natural fibers and are willing to hand wash or lightly machine wash. So in that case, I can educate them on that. But for myself, I just want to completely switch over to natural fibers. And so I've been looking at different places where I can get it, because where I live, there's not any local yarn stores that I'm at least aware of at this moment. So my world of natural fibers is quite small locally, so I'm just trying to find places online where I can do that, and I still have to look for ones that are very affordable. Eventually I'd venture into other things, but nonetheless, I'm trying to work through this last bit of acrylic yarn that I have and still make things that I enjoy and make use of the yarn. So this pattern, I don't remember the designer's name off the top of my head, but I will link her pattern below. I bought the pattern on Etsy, but you can also get it on Ravelry. And I used worsted weight yarn, a 4mm set of DPNs, and yeah, so this is a Red Heart Fleck yarn, and I don't know what shade of green this is, but this is one of the Joanne's yarns, and she has an option where you can just knit the frog, stuff it, and do I-cord legs, and then some people have added magnets and different things so they can make them into keychains. But then she also has a version where you could add wire to its body and its legs, and it ended up being a lot easier than I thought it would be. It's a little fiddly, but in practice actually doing it, it's very easy. So anyways, the pattern is written and most people do it in fingering weight yarn, but again, as I'm trying to make the switch over to natural fibers, you know, it's just more common than not to get worsted weight yarn in local craft stores. So that's the only weight of yarn that I have. And then I have been knitting, oh god, like 16 years now, actively knitting for 16 years. I learned when I was a child, but I didn't ever like really pick it up. But I've been actively knitting for 16 years, but I take breaks here and there, and I've moved several times, so and I never invested in like nice materials or anything. So the point of that is I only have one set of double pointed needles that are needles that I enjoy using. I just got them like last week. I only have two other sets of needles that came from Michael's, which there's nothing wrong with them. It just, I'm trying to find materials and tools for my work that I can, you know, either work more efficiently, be easier on my hands. so on and so forth. So I'm just working with what I have right now is the main point. But I would love to make one in a fingering weight yarn and maybe get myself like a sock, like a mini skein. I think that would be enough. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check the pattern, but nonetheless, it literally took me one evening to make this, and not even the entire evening. It took me 2 days technically because I made most of it last night and I finished it today, but in reality it doesn't really take that long. So there are a ton of patterns that go along with this, which is what I was excited about. So that leads me into this project, which is his sweater. I'm just following the pattern designer, has a couple patterns that go with it, and this sweater is one of them. There are other designers that have made patterns to go with this frog, and I haven't looked into those yet, but I definitely want to. But again, this is just an acrylic yarn. This one is from Hobby Lobby, and it goes with the gauge that I need, and it's just like a neutral color that I thought would be cute. And I could possibly do some duplicate stitch to make it look maybe like a colorwork sweater of some kind. So I'm just starting with that, so he'll have a little sweater. Okay, this next project here is a pattern that I designed. This is a tapestry crochet pattern. This is my first sample of it. I'm going to make some more samples, but I will need testers for this. So if you enjoy crochet, specifically tapestry crochet, let me know. I'm looking into converting this into a knitting pattern as well. I just have to decide what type of project it would be and how it would appropriately like be converted. But for now, this one in particular, you could make it as a wall hanging. You could do the same thing and make a back for it and make it into a pillow. It's a little too tall to make a bag out of it, but if you did a repeat, you could make a tote bag or something out of it. But anyways, this is an original design I came up with. I really love it. I like the colors for this one. I'm going to make one out of gray, cream, and black so you can see. Really, it looks totally different when you do different colors. So I'm going to try to make several samples in different colors for you. But again, if anyone's interested in doing tapestry crochet and would like to test this pattern for me, in the next week or so, I will put a call out. And I've never had to do that before. I usually have my crochet patterns tested by a few friends of mine that have been crocheting for several years, and I have them test not only for making the item and reading the pattern, but they also check and help me with grammatical errors or anything like that. So I've never opened it up to a public forum, but I know that's a very common thing to do, and so I'd like to do that for this one in particular. So again, if anyone's interested, let me know, and within the next week or so, I'll be contacting some people for that. And then this is my pride and joy of not only this week, but just in general. And I will put it on for you. I don't know how much of it you can see detail-wise in the camera, but I really need to take a few minutes and talk about this because I just love it. So this is the Bub Bonnet. This is a pattern by Lydia Morrow, and I got this pattern on Ravelry. I don't know if you can purchase it anywhere else, but the reason I wanted to talk about it is because this is literally the best knitting I have ever done in my life. Everything about this is perfect, and I just wanted to say that I think it's a huge compliment to the pattern designer. The way it's constructed is extremely simple, but as simple as it is, you still have to have a full understanding of those specific knitting techniques, which I was a knitting instructor years ago, so I knew and understood the techniques, but I hadn't put them into practice in a really long time. And most of the knitting I had done was just your average basic sort of stuff. So this included a lot of different things for me, and I will go through it and explain it to you, but let me just put my hair up so I can concentrate. Okay, so you work some of it flat, and then you do a certain type of decrease, and it makes this X here at the top. A lot of times in the past when I had done decreases, I didn't give a shit what the pattern said. I just did whatever decrease I wanted to, because a lot of times in the past, to me, I was more so just trying to get everything done as quickly as I could, and so I didn't really give a shit about the technique of it all. But I wanted mine to look as good as hers, because I mean it's a completely seamless hat. It's absolutely gorgeous, the decreasing on it. So I followed it to pattern, and then if there was anything that I needed a refresher on as far as the technique was concerned, I just looked up a video first to make sure I was doing it correctly. And man, it just turned out perfectly. And then the ribbing here, you have to pick up these stitches, and I have only done that a couple times, so I looked up how to do that neatly and properly. And I mean, even the inside of it and the outside is like perfectly seamless. You couldn't even tell really that I joined the ribbing to make it. And I followed their instruction to use a larger needle for the cast off edge. And then the other technique in here that was new to me was an I-cord. It's specifically an applied I-cord. I had never done that before, but they include a tutorial for it. The tutorial was very thorough. I just did what the tutorial said. And then I had never made an I-cord either. I knew the concept of it. I knew it was quite easy to do, but I had never done it. So applying all those things together was just a lot easier than I thought, but the payoff of it is amazing because it's just so seamless and it looks really nice. And it's worth the extra effort. The horns, because I had to use, again, I was trying to use what I had on hand, which is just worsted weight yarn and a 4mm set of double pointed needles. So the bonnet itself I made to pattern, except for the ribbing I did 4 rows instead of 8. And then the horns, I did less rows in one section, the rest of them are to pattern. But I did put all those notes in my Ravelry. I have never done that before either, but I'm trying to really stay on top of that, just in the community aspect of things, so that the projects that I talk about, you have something to refer to. So I did put the notes that I used for how to make this with worsted weight If you have a similar gauge to me, it would work out just fine. But I've done a lot of stuffies and amigurumi, and I'm very familiar with sewing, so the horns part wasn't new to me, and joining them and adding those, that part was quite easy for me. But I think this is just absolutely gorgeous. I love how it turned out, and I have no idea when, where, or why I would wear it, but I will figure that out because I think it's beautiful and I want to wear it. And also, you could do it without the horns. You can add different horns, smaller ones. You could add ears to it. Um, my friend had made a suggestion to make it into a Viking helmet sort of situation, which would also be cute. I thought bunny ears would be nice. Or just nothing at all, just a basic simple bonnet would be nice. So that is that pattern. The last thing is super quick, but it goes along with what I had mentioned earlier. I'm trying to work through my stash of acrylic yarn, and once I fully work through it, I'm slowly going to start acquiring other fibers. I did place an order with Linda Hobby. They're out of Denmark. That should be here soon, so I'll be able to. I either ordered Katia yarn or drops, but I'm pretty sure I ended up ordering the Katia yarn. So I'll be able to review that with you and let you know how I feel about that because it'll be my first time working with that. I've worked with some natural fibers before, and I've worked with some hand-dyed yarn before, but in teeny tiny amounts, and I never really thought much about it at the time. So when that comes, I'll let you know. But I have about 10 or 12 skeins of yarn that I'm trying to work through. Some of them I've just used I've cut up into really small pieces and used as stuffing for my knit and crochet dolls and such like that. But I still had some left over. So I'm just going to make a basket. So I'm using 4 strands at a time and a 9mm crochet hook. I just did a basic circle. I started with 10 stitches and did an even increase until I had 80 stitches. And then I did one round of single crochet just to get the base. And then I have been doing half double crochet, which the base is half double crochet as well, except for that one row. And I'm just going to crochet until I feel like it's big enough and then figure out some type of handle. I'll probably leave it over next to the lounge here, and I can either put blankets in there or I might just use this as my basket for my works in progress when I don't feel like using a project bag. So yeah, I will update you next time and we'll see how far we are on that. It is very hard on my hands. It's extremely easy to do, but it's very hard on my wrists. Sometimes I get carpal tunnel and stuff just from life. But so I can't work on this all in one shot, but that is all my works in progress and my finished objects. The only future plan I have right this second, besides that sewing one I told you about, is I have an order coming up for the Hoodola, and I will talk about that pattern and that yarn and the materials for that when it comes. And then my ironing board, I have been wanting to change out the cover for that for a really long time. I have a store-bought cover that I used, and I cannot stand the material of the fabric, and it's just a really depressing gray and white color, and I don't like it. So I really want to spray paint the whole ironing board, maybe like a gold or something, and then I'm going to change out the cover. I'll make my own, I'll sew that. So I will show you. That's the only upcoming things that I have besides whatever random shit that I decide to do. So it is getting dark and I'm losing my light. So I will let you go. I appreciate everyone taking some time with me, and I'll see you in the next one.